Hello and welcome, esteemed SoundScope viewers. It is episode 22, I believe, of SoundScope, and we're listening to one of the biggest selling, greatest albums of all time. And that's not only an opinion, it's a fact of many critics, even Rolling Stone, if you can believe it, share that opinion that this is one of the greatest albums of all time, and it's certainly the biggest selling. That cannot be disputed, and it's what we're listening to tonight. So it's Led Zeppelin IV, which is officially untitled, because they were feeling spiteful towards the press because of their response to Led Zeppelin III. They thought, no, you know what, fuck you, we don't like you anyway, and so they officially untitled this album, and it was left with only symbols, of which it was called the album of four symbols, as is Led Zeppelin IV. And the first track of which was written by bassist John Paul Jones on the train while he was on the road on the way to rehearsals. It's called Black Dog. It's 4 minutes and 55 seconds. Again, it's a riff rarely not written by Jimmy Page, the guitarist and producer and everything else, written by John Paul Jones, the bassist, and I think it's great. I do think it would be better suited to track 2, but we'll get onto that after we've listened to it. So it's track 1, Black Dog. Fuck off.
What about Mexican Dog?
Shut up. I'll tell you about this after.
Mama said the way you move, gonna make you sweat, gonna make you groove.
You dirty man.
Way you shake that thing, gonna make you burn, gonna make you stay. Hey baby, when you walk that way, watch honey drip, can't keep away.
I disagree.
So
This guy gets it. I thoroughly disagree with you, Mr. Robert. Wow.
Okay, Black Dog. That was Black Dog, the first track on Led Zeppelin IV. What are your thoughts?
I've heard that before.
You've heard that before. Okay, that could be encouraging or could not be. So go on.
What I would say about this,
Clearly.
I'm fairly certain that's on a previous album. If not, I'm going insane.
It's definitely not on a previous album. This is, like I say, it's the first track to Led Zeppelin IV. It was recorded at Headley Grange, and Black Dog, it was named after, I believe, a German Shepherd that resided at the country house in Hampshire, which makes me greatly excited for unspecified reasons, which I shall not be naming on the internet, except for I am wildly fond of the English county Hampshire. Headley Grange is located where this album was recorded, and where, of course, this dog was living at the time, which is named after this song. Yeah, I like the song.
I swear to God, I've heard this song before.
It's a pretty large song, so you may well have, but not on a previous album. As I said, it was written by the bassist John Paul Jones. He was on the train thinking all things music as a professional musician would, you would think. He was on the train to rehearsals from wherever on earth he lived in 1970 to rehearse with the other members of the band, and he was thinking music, and he had this idea, this riff in his head, and he wrote it down, and suddenly he gave it to Jimmy Page, and here we have Black Dog. So, other than you've heard it before, what are your thoughts on this creation by Mr. Jones?
It feels no, because I feel like I'm like put up in like fucking like I feel like I'm part of like the mystery gang. Like I live in the mystery machine. Like,
is it? All right.
Yeah, I've heard this before, and maybe it's just like, in fact, it's definitely just the fact that Led Zeppelin are that famous. And I've heard this before. I could have sworn I'd heard this on a previous album. Which I guess is also a testament to how samey Led Zeppelin are, and how, like, you know, how they're skilled.
Wow. Well, this is
I'm
like,
winding you up. I
know.
I think it's a case of
the viewers up.
That I am. I think it's a case of you've shown me this song before, and I've sort of implanted it in my mind that it's been part of another album that you've shown me.
You've Robert planted it in your mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have Robert planted it in my mind.
Yeah.
Which is I've planted it in an area of my mind that's not correct. But that being said, I liked it, and that's why I was so taken aback by the fact that I was like, hold on, I've heard this before, because I could have sworn I said I really like this track, and we'd been here before, but we hadn't. So
yeah,
I don't know. Yeah. Again, yeah, I liked it.
Okay,
that riff is brilliant.
It is. It's absolutely killer.
It is killer.
Like I say,
killer,
written
dude.
by John Paul Jones, the bassist. Bassists are. I often feel bad for bassists in their contribution to a band, but this man, John Paul Jones, I bloody love him. I absolutely love him, and this is one of the reasons why Black Dog. And I think although he didn't play piano on the next track, which is track 2, I was saying before, I think that they should have switched his round. So it's rock and roll. It's 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I think it should have been the opener, and I think immediately upon hearing it, you will realise why. But what better way to find out than to listen to it? So that's what we're going to do now. Rock and roll. 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
Rock and roll.
It's been a long time since I did the stroll.
and
Thank
roll.
you, Elton John. Elton John, thank you very much.
Written before Elton John was properly known, by the way, so don't you dare. But yes.
That's fine. Yeah. I was only taking the piss anyway. Yeah, that was fun. It was fine.
It was fun. It was fine. Ian Stewart of the Rolling Stones guesting on piano there. Not that John Paul Jones
Really?
needed the help, mind you, but of the Rolling Stones, just to show the sort of mammoth appreciation and sound scope even, of Led Zeppelin in the 1970s and how huge they were, that they could get anybody who desired, as was Ian Stewart of the Rolling Stones on this track. Yeah, a fun track. And like I say, with that drum opening, I really feel that it should have been the opener, as it was in their concerts post 1972, I believe. I think as an opener, that was better than Black Dog. Not perhaps maybe not a better song, but as an opener, it would have served them better. But that's just my opinion on this album.
No,
But
I
what we're
don't know.
after
I
here,
prefer
really,
Black Dog as an opener.
yeah, no. I prefer Black Dog as a song, but as an opener, I just think the drum intro serves it better for an album opener. But we're here for your opinion, and so what is your opinion?
My opinion is that Black Dog as an opener was well deserved as an opener because it really leads you in,
Yeah.
and it's a sort of track that keeps you engaged and keeps you it's gnarly, and it keeps you it's segmented, and it keeps you engaged in different segments and different parts. Whereas this track,
Yeah.
it's called rock and roll for a reason, being that it's just rock and roll, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's been many rock and roll tracks before this rock and roll track, and
There has. Yeah.
in my opinion, in my humble, obviously for me, it's just a rock and roll track. Well, it's called rock and roll, so
Yeah.
there you go. They got that
It
right.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
They certainly did. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just doesn't stick out for me. It's just a rock and roll track.
Okay. And that is, yeah, again, you're completely fair enough in thinking that. I just, as a personal opinion, for the drum intro and outro, in fairness, as a track one, I think it would have been more suited. But that is just a personal opinion. It's a track that, as you say, it's not overly complex in that it's called rock and roll, and it is called that for a reason. In fact, that it's following typical rock and roll conventions, which for a song, and certainly of the time and their influences as children, as teenagers, are totally apt and totally understandable of their influences and how that they've led them to create this track. And whatever you were saying, I totally agree, but also disagree in the fact that it as a live track is a really fun one to listen to. Which we will get onto when we get onto The Song Remains the Same, released in 1976, of course, based on their 1973 concert from Madison Square Garden. And moving swiftly on to track 3, we're on to the Battle of Evermore, and I think with your sort of Tolkien Lords of the Rings references here, you will enjoy this track very much. It's a rare, in fact, one-off duet with Sandy Denny of Fairpoint Convention. It's the only female voice, and perhaps only other voice than Robert Plant to appear on a Led Zeppelin album from here on in. So you should enjoy this greatly. It's an acoustic track composed by Jimmy Page on the bassist John Paul Jones's mandolin. And the mandolin is a beautiful instrument, and we're going to find out why on this track. It's 5 minutes and 51 seconds. The Battle of Evermore.
Considering it's the Queen of Light, that must be Galadriel, so rightfully so. It's
Here we are.
a woman singing.
Enjoy
with him.
yourself. work out how cool this is, by the way, before it starts.
The Queen of Light took her bow, and then she turned to go. The Prince of Peace embraced the gloom and walked the night alone.
And there's beautiful voice.
Dark and light, sing to the Lord. Dark Lord rides in force tonight, and time will tell us all. Throw down your blindfold, rest not to lock your home. Side by side, we wait the mind of the darkest of them all. I hear Horace's thunder down in the valley below. I'm waiting for the angels of Babylon, waiting for the eastern glow. The apples are in the valley, oh, the seas of happiness. Ground is rich from tender care, repay, do not forget. No, no, dance in the dark night, listen to the morning light. Battles turn to brown and black, the tyrant's face is red. War is the common cry, pick up your swords and the sky is filled with good and bad, mortals never know. Oh well, the night is long, the beats of time pass slow. Tired eyes on the sunrise, waiting for the eastern glow. The pain of war cannot exceed the woe of aftermath. The drums will shake, the castle wall, the ring razor iron black. Ride on, raise your shoot straight to them before. No comfort has the fire at night that lights the face so cold. Dance in the dark night, sing till the morning and light. Red and gold to bring the balance back, bring it back. At last the sun is shining, the clouds are blue or white. With flames from the dragon of darkness, the sunlight blinds his
Chick-fil-A sauce?
So this is Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, and Robert Plant, still very much in touch with their roots from the home in Brongniart in Wales in 1970, and it's a real sort of transitional feel in the album from Black Dog and rock and roll. We're now on Battle of Evermore, and I'm intrigued once more to hear your thoughts as a Tolkien and Lord of the Rings nerd, as is Robert Plant. So,
well, yeah, as is Robert Plant. I'm glad he loves Tolkien as much as I do. Thank you for putting your voice over it.
yeah.
There wasn't that. In fact, I didn't hear any other Tolkien reference other than the ring wraiths, which I really appreciated. Yeah, okay, the ring wraiths wear all black. Yes, they do. And I'd wear all black if I was listening to your lyrics and your vocals the whole time. But that being said, I'm being really too harsh. It was a decent song. It's fine. I just think the hype, the hype of the title, the Battle of Evermore, that sounds so unbelievably epic. Compared with how the song actually went. Yes, it took a lot of folk contributions. In fact, that's another point. One of the main points is the mention of Avalon, which for me is a huge thing, because being raised in Glastonbury, Avalon is well where Glastonbury is. Glastonbury is the hill that rises out of the Avalon marshes. It's a whole pagan sort of folk story with the Avalon marshes, the Avalon, the Glastonbury tour coming out. But that's a whole different story. I love that mention. I wish I enjoyed the song more, because I didn't like. I found it a little bit boring. But first track, brilliant. Second track, not as good as the first, but I still found it fun. This track, I found it a bit boring.
Okay. What do you make of Sandy Denny's vocals? Obviously, like I say, it's the only ever guest vocalist on Led Zeppelin track on a Led Zeppelin album. So what do you make of her albums? Obviously, of Fairpoint Convention, if you're aware of, I would assume not, but aware of them. She was a singer who sang with them at the time.
So I found her contributions quite effective. In fact, I think it saved it a little bit for me. I found the duet, the sort of duo sort of dynamic going on between the two main vocalists. I found that more engaging than the actual melody and vocal hook going on. I don't know. I feel really bad. Every time I critique Zeppelin, I feel like I'm just such a bum. I feel like such a fucking idiot. It's just my opinion, man.
Like this is one of the biggest selling, greatest, most infamous albums of all time, and you're trying to tell me this song on it is shit and you hate it. Like, come on, you can't.
I'm not trying to tell you it's shit and I hate it. I'm telling you that it's not as good. Maybe Led Zeppelin is like. Maybe people need to have hyped the band up too much for me, but I just don't know. It doesn't. For me, music is a really broad, like humongously broad subject for me, and I'm not going to get in. In fact, that's all I'm going to leave you with. Let's go to the next track.
This next track needs no introduction, but as Robert Plant, as I am
here we go.
Bootlegs, would often introduce it as, this is a song of hope. It's a song of life and something that we can all take a certain sort of meaning from. And whatever meaning you take from it, it can only be the right one because that is your meaning. And this is Stairway to Heaven, one of
Might I add,
the greatest
it's a song
composed
that's
tracks
banned in every
of
guitar
all
shop.
time. 8 minutes and 2 seconds. One of the greatest songs of all time, composed by Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham. Beautiful. I love it.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, it is beautiful. I'm turning my sound up.
So am I. I'm blowing my ears out for this shit. I fucking love it. Oh, John Paul Jones on the Mellotron here, posing as a flute. Beautiful. I can play flute, by the way. I can play flute.
No, you can, can't you?
Yeah, I can play flute.
Such a performative male.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with the word she can get what she came for. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause you know sometimes words have two meanings. In a tree by the brook, there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven. There's a feeling I get when I look to the west, and my spirit is crying for leaving. In my thoughts I have seen rings of smoke through the trees, and the voices of those who stand looking. they sprinkly for the May Queen. Yes, there are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on.
I hope so.
And it makes me
I swear it drops off.
Shut the fuck up.
Your head is humming and it won't go. In case you don't know, the piper's calling you to join him. Dear lady, can you hear the wind blow? And did you know your stairway lies on the whispering wind?
Pretending to play the guitar, man.
Well, fuck up.
And as we wind on down the road,
Yeah.
our shadows taller than our soul. There walks the lady we all know, who shines white light and wants to show how everything still turns to stone. And if you listen very hard, the truth will come to you at last. Well, I wanted what is hard to be a rock and not to and she's buying a stairway to heaven.
Well, that is, to me, and I don't care what you speak, that is one of the greatest songs of all time. It's a song that, by and large, got me totally and utterly, I suppose, influenced into music, should I say, and just infatuated with what could be in the world and the beautiful things that people could create and to make you feel. And that does make you feel, and it takes me back about 7 or 8 years now. And
Makes you wonder.
It makes you wonder. Does anybody remember Laughter? And it's just such a beautiful song to me that makes me feel so many things, and it really got me hooked on music as an art form, as something to enjoy. That is like no other. It's like no Picasso or any other artist. It's just an art form to enjoy and to have your own interpretations out of. And for those interpretations, although I don't think already, I'm intrigued to hear your interpretations of it. So here we are. So
Well,
what do you think?
as you already know. I do not think this is the best song of all time. I think it's up there. It is an absolutely brilliant song. It is a feat of musical genius, really. until 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 it kicks in with the rock and roll, and that really makes me feel as honestly, look, with the mention of Avalon in the last track, with where I come from as a human and where I'm physically from, it makes me think. Yes,
it makes me wonder. Yeah,
it makes me wonder. It does make me wonder, but it makes me think he's wasted as a rock and roll vocalist and should be a folk. He should be a folk singer. He just should be a folk singer, and that's and that really saddens me because I do like his vocals. I really don't. It's in no way am I saying I don't like his vocals. I just think as far as vocal styles go, I think it just suits that folk sort of hippie kind of style more than the obviously the rock and roll style that he's so famous for. And the fact he's so famous for it doesn't mean that he does it badly. Just for me being where I'm from, I don't know. I just that is why when I say to you, I prefer the first half of Stairway so much more than the second half, is because it's just such a more folk focused track. It's so focused on that acoustic nature, that sort of nature focused just like that's what I was raised on, and I just feel like his voice, as much as it really does suit the rock and roll screechy style that goes into the 70s, I just think he's, in my humble opinion, my absolutely humble and 50 subscriber opinion, I think his talents lie within folk music, and maybe even Morris music, but that's a whole different story altogether.
In saying that is probably, that's a very interesting opinion, because his last, probably, not that I've listened to him, but I have heard tracks of 3 or 4 albums with Alison Krauss have been more of that genre, and in fact Grammy award winning albums. You probably enjoy that more of Robert Plant as an older vocalist. But look, we're back in 1971, and this is an album, a song that changed me and my opinion of music. It's one that, upon first listening in 2019, or perhaps even 18, I do remember it greatly, it changed how I viewed and appreciated music, in terms of the dynamics and just
over the misty mountains cold
ways. Misty Mountains, we'll get to Misty Mountains, but in the way in which a song can affect you, it impacted the way in which a song can affect you, and I heard it for the first time, and this song changed me. it did change me musically because
What, Stairway?
I, I found a whole new world of dynamics, of singing, of guitar playing, of drum playing, of keyboard and bass playing that could just affect you in a way that no other music can for me personally, because it just meant a great deal to me. It was a period where I wasn't in the greatest place in the world, and this song, it brought me hope. It brought me laughter. It brought me good times where there were no good times, and that to me is so important. And for a song to be so dynamic over 8 minutes, and to have such an iconic guitar solo, which is truly
The
incredible.
guitar solo
Oh,
is utterly brilliant. I'll give you that. Yeah,
yeah, it is, and
it is a brilliant guitar
it's
solo.
it brings out the emotion in the lyrics, which I think, as much as I heard it. I'm 20 now. I heard this when I was younger. I was probably, you know, 13, 14 when I heard this song for the first time, and it brings on a new meaning when you, as an ever so slightly but still younger, but yet older person, hear it. It still brings me an incredible amount of emotion, which is still unparalleled to this day, and it's why. And it's something I've not yet mentioned, but I've listened to this song um very infrequently because it is so important to me in my journey of musical discovery, which is a very important thing to me because music is something that can provoke and a way to interpret your own emotions in someone else, which I think is so important. Not that I relate to this track directly, but I think there's something that at a time was very important to me, and it's still important to me, which is why I listen to it so infrequently. And I love it. The guitar solo, the slow build, the dynamics of the light and dark in lyrics. And even to the drumming, waiting until about 4.5 minutes to come in. John Bonham, ever so patient. I think it's just something that emotionally and as a song can build and is very important to me. I will forever be appreciative of that for what it brought to me at a certain time in my life. And
Yeah,
time you're watching this in life, this is no less episode 22 of SoundScope. And it's part one of part two of Led Zeppelin IV. And we appreciate you for watching. And we've got many other materials in our now relatively large repertoire as Led Zeppelin have at this time of recording. We've got a relatively large and varied discography, although perhaps as a reaction channel you wouldn't call it that. But we have got that, and we would appreciate if you would watch and support any other means of doing that. But this has been part one of Led Zeppelin 4. If you would join us on part two of Led Zeppelin 4, we'd appreciate that. We love our two times table, as I said, 2 and 4. We'd like to see you again there, where we visit other classics, such as Going to California, Misty Mountaintop, and When the Levee Breaks, also 4 Sticks. We would love to see you there. I've been Nathan. He, this beautiful man on my left and or right, because I'm never sure which one it is Louis. But yeah, we've been SoundScope. This has been Led Zeppelin 4 Part 1. Goodbye. Thank you for watching.